Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Peter Kennedy, Kennedy's Garage, Portlaw. Today we have, and anyone that follows me would be aware and would know of this car. It's a 2018 Jaguar XF. And what we had about 6 or 8, maybe more months ago, I had diagnosed an ailment with this. And the ailment was that we had a hole burnt in a number 1 piston actually. And I can put a link, or will put a link of that video in there for you. What are we doing today? Anyone again that knows the Jaguar I done recently where we had a ground strap broken somewhere around here on another non-start Jaguar XF or whatever it may be, I had shown that I had an engine sitting on the ground over there that I took a ground strap off of. Okay, on this one today, where are we at? The task is I'm going to pull an engine out. I don't know whether yet I'm bringing the gearbox with me or separating them, pulling the engine forward and taking it up, but the engine that's sitting over there has to be fitted in here. Now, when I have it out, I get all 8 injectors tested, so the 4 out of this and the 4 out of the other engine, just because it's an overfueling issue that causes the holes to be burnt in the piston from injectors. Also have a new timing chain kit sitting there, but it's in the car that long that the red colour has faded away from it, okay? I've done a few, still sealed actually, I've done a few timing chain videos on these yokes, but the long and short of it is, it's not really a timing chain tutorial, but the debate is, can we bring this thing back to life? It is horrible and dusty and dirty from just kind of being abandoned here. And again, it is a nice car, but I bought it off the owner. And why did I buy it off the owner? I bought it off the owner because I thought it was too nice, too clean, too good of a car. Even though everyone hates, Ingeniums and Jaguars, I just thought it was too good of a car to leave go at the value he was trying to sell it for. So yeah, here's the task today. Can we get this back to life? Can we get the engine and gearbox, engine separated, engine out, whatever it may be, and the other one with the timing chain lobbed onto it, lobbed in. So I'm going to take you through the process with us, okay? Time to get going. Have a little, can I go on camera? We have a little buddy here coming in with us, a little apprentice of mine. That's Kuba. Kuba's going to help me start taking off the fiddly little stuff. I'm going to get over the other engine and start putting the timing chain from that one over and up and onto this. So, I don't know, yeah. Before we start, guys, a lot of you are going to ask me the mileage. So, it's in miles, must have been a UK import. And we have 102,451 miles. Car risen up in the air. A couple of under trays taken off, just sitting there. Looking at it to debate where I'm going to go. I'm going to leave the gearbox in here. So I'm going to get out the starter motor. I'm going to get out a couple of bolts from around the bell housing. Once I've the bolts out of it, we're separating the gearbox from the actual crankcase or engine. And up in here, right in there, is where we have the bolts that are holding on the torque converter onto the gearbox. So once I've those bolts out, we don't need, the generic 2 inches or 3 inches of a gap. We only need to separate a small little bit. There's no protrusion of anything inside into the bell housing. So it'll come up, fairly easy. They'll nearly run up out of each other parallel, if that makes sense, because of the torque converter and it being automatic. If it's a manual car, you have a different problem. But for me, I don't. So my starting point is get out the starter, get out a couple of ranks of bolts around the bell housing and get in access to the torque converters. Once that's off, I'll start reassessing around here, maybe a couple of intercooler pipes and little auxiliary bits and pieces that are hanging around going from engine to body. But I don't think it's too bad. With plenty of room, everything is accessible, so we're going to just pull the trigger, get going, get that out, a couple of bolts, and see. Up the top, which I know I said I was going to go around the bottom. I did. Starter out. But then once I had the starter motor out, I wanted to get in. Sorry, actually making noise. I wanted to get in and rotate the engine, but I had an intercooler in my way just from rotating our crank bolts here. So I came back down, pulled off these 4 bolts actually holding on the intercooler, leaving off the top pipe, took it up and out of our way. Little intercooler pipe that was hanging on the bottom, clipped off, grand and easy. I've taken off a few lines while I was up here. I've popped out my airbox. I've popped off 1 or 2 water pipes and our connections. Had this little water pipe came off, and I had a second one here, but lo and behold, it broke on me in there. So there's a little piece that actually came. No, it came off anyway on me, and I've just ordered one of these pipes as well. Okay, so we're yeah, watch that. Just pressed in the clip, went to pull it out and it snapped. So up top we have a lot of bits and pieces pulled off. I'm going to have to degas or AC and disconnect. I'm thinking that maybe I might need to take off the particulate filter. Maybe I can leave it on it. Do not know as of yet. But up the top anyway, that's where we stand. Good few small little bits and pieces off here. Put back in the boot because we have the tailgate open. And that's, yeah, where we're at this point. We'll get it back up in the air in a couple of minutes and pull off our torque converter now that we can rotate or turn the engine. Kuba is pulling off heater pipes over here, guys. Quick release popped in. He actually had the two of them removed up there, I can see. Over here, following a wire and loom across. The lad that I bought the engine off, I left the loom on it and intact. So the loom is coming over. We only just pulled out a couple of bits of clips out of this plastic scuttle and 2 bolts out of a what do you call that? Strut brace, strut support, whatever we want to call it. And then we could get in our gain access into that block connector sitting just in there, which has that little size 10 bolt in the back of it. And then the other one is just going into the engine ECU, which lives just there. So that out, pull the wiring loom out, have a vacuum pipe and a few little bits and pieces up here off. And that's, yeah, up there. I think we're kind of back down underneath. Again, in a second, to pull out bolts out of the actual gearbox itself. We have made the executive decision after pulling out these bolts that we're actually going to pull out the automatic transmission out of it, just because it's so easy to get out. There's probably no point in us having it hanging there, and it was awkward to get up at the top bolt. So we took out our gearbox mounting here, left the gearbox hang down, popped out the drive shaft, prop shaft. That little yoke there, might be a handy little tip for you, is the park release lever. So you can just pull that back, rotate your wheels. We don't have a handbrake or anything on, and we can get in at our top bolt. So we're going to pull them out, drop our gearbox down, transmission, whatever we're going to call it, out, down on the ground, and then we've a lot more room from the back. So that is what we've tackled at this point in time. Automatic transmission out, down the ground, dropped it down with a transmission jack, and right, we have good access at this point in time. Only made that decision because it was so easy to get out. 15 minutes or so, maybe took it out from where it was sitting. At this point in time, we have the boys pulling an engine over for me there, and we're going to land that there, get the engine crane, get off any other little ancillaries that are around there, and horse this thing up and out, do a little bit of stripping in there, do whatever bit of stripping we have to do from bits off of this, tear the gearbox etc off of that engine, and yeah, get a timing chain swapped over. Back up top, so our engine is, look, flopping around the place at this point in time. Very little, we believe, holding it. Going to be relatively tight to get out. We actually put in that bar to hold the bonnet up, took off the bonnet rams, and what else? The intercooler was sitting here under the bracket or plate, steel plate, actually just thrown over on top of my toolbox there, that I took off just to gain a little bit more room. So I'm thinking that once we get moving, we're going to have, what do we class it as? 6 inches of room, the length of my hand, which should in theory give us a bit of room so we can lift it, bring it back, and then bring it up. Clear our bonnet, could take it off, but just don't feel like it right now. Nuts off the engine mountings at this point in time. DPF still on. I think, yeah, we're going pulling it up. Box out, as I said, but we've oil feed pipes and oil coolers for the automatic transmission still connected, so they're staying in there. I think we've everything off. We're going to start lifting, have our our engine crane sitting there. We have the engine sitting there. That's the replacement engine. You can see it was a manual car it came out of. It's a dual mass flywheel in there. But we're going to try and lift this thing at this point in time, and just hopefully it'll all work back. Seems to be kind of okay, do we?
Yeah.
So exhaust like over there, TPF?
Yeah, having it tilted a bit more to the left so it doesn't hit off this panel right here. So
cool. keep on going. Okay, boys, we're just about to come out. And just like that, guys, we have that's not the engine that came out of it, because that's the engine that came out of it. We have lifted up the other one, swapped it around, so we've gotten the one out of here and put it on the ground, and then we have that one lifted back up now. Weirdly for me, it has lifted and twisted, and I can't weirdly again make up and gender of my engine crane. It won't rotate, so look lovely jubbly, but we have to spin it around, drop it down, turn it. But I'm going to pull off like a few brackets. This thing came out of a crashed or damaged XF, so the crank pulley isn't looking too excitingly good, and a few bits and pieces on the front here. But I'm going to swap out crank pulleys. I'm going to swap out that bit of a bracket that's half hanging there. Maybe put the inner belt back on the front, because we don't need it. It's actually intact on that one. Get our DPF, a few bits and pieces, flywheel off, thrown in the bin, timing chain, our stuff over here, up and in and on it. And you can see there that the front of that one looks nice and clean and tidy, so we may as well get the belt back on it in its entirety like that. The chap that actually got that engine out for me, or sold it to me, left as much as he could on it and intact. So I don't know whether it's right, wrong, good, bad, but he did say to me that he left the wiring loom as it should be and did not disconnect, cut, break, blah, blah, blah. Although I do see something broken there, whatever the heck it is. But yeah, I don't know whether we'll get away with swapping out bits or not, whatever. We'll see. I'm going to start looking, start trying to size myself up, get these bits off it and roll on. So I'm going to cut it now, swap around a few bits, and I might give you a little snapshot of our timing chain going into it. But that's kind of the silly stuff you don't need to see. Okay guys, we've encountered our first problem. What's our first problem? In trying to take the crank pulley off our donor engine, I had a job getting it off, and then once it did come off, it came out in a couple of bits and pieces. So it kind of broke up like that, where it should have come out with this sleeve on it. If that makes sense. That sleeve is stuck in there and I cannot get it to come off. So what am I contemplating on doing? I'm not being kind of, I was going to show you what I had, but now I can't freaking see it. So what I'm actually doing is I'm getting that slide hammer and I'm going to try and weld an item onto that. Just attack, and hopefully be able to slide that out. But by gosh, I cannot get that out of it. I don't know if it's because of the impact that it got on the front or what's happening. Is it just normal crack that we hit in these things? But I can't see any other way of getting around what we're up against here. We can't see the apparatus that we're going to use either. But neither here nor there. There's our first problem. And voila. Task 1 resolved. Okay guys, we are going to start tackling our timing chain at this point in time. We have engine mounting swapped over. We have, I think may have shown that actually, I don't know. But I'm now going to be pulling off that EGR cooler. 4 bolts, couple of pipes. Once that's off, we have access. Take off that little viewing plate on top, and then we're going to take off our main timing cover section here. Have the oil drained out of this engine, so it's not going to be piddling oil all over the place, but it's time to wrap it off. Rank of bolts all over the place, including those 4 in there. I suppose for visual reference, just watch that tension on the way back in and we'll see, you know, how far it sits with the new chain on it. A couple more bolts to go. Oh, baby, there you go. One cover off. It actually doesn't look too bad in here, guys. But it's a chance you can take. You know, engine was out on the ground. You couldn't put it back in without knowing, could you? I don't think I could anyway. You just have to go and do it. Because I had a timing chain bought for it, you know, a couple of months ago. Yeah, but luckily, was someone in here before? I don't actually think so. To be honest, because the sealer looks genuine, original, hard. You know, it just looks okay. Timing kit sitting there, ready to be fitted on. Yeah, I get my timing kit and stuff set up. It's a straightforward enough. That yoke sits into the actual crank pulley on the front. That item then basically sits up and on there, the point, and then that item, if you're taking off the gears, would sit on the back and hold the actual cams in place from the rear. That makes sense? With these, this yoke actually is used with these bolts on the front. We'll sit it up and get it timed up. Fast little show and tell about our timing chain. So we're going to rotate our engine around until we get, there's a little mark in there. There's another little mark on the link that lines up with a tab on the guide. Up top we're going to have two little markings on the camshafts. I'm not going to be trying to line the chain up before we take it off, but I'm going to get my marks in situ. Back one in there is superimposed here, a little again marking up the top. And once we get it to roughly that position, we should be able to get on that locking plate on the crank pulley and we're away. Okay, so there's a little fast overview. There's the cam locking tool and the gears locking tool. Okay, at the back, sitting in place, holding our cams in place. At the front, sitting in place, bits and pieces down here. Going to get this ripped apart. So I have basically rotated my engine around, little mark, if you can see it, sitting just there. And then we have, that is the other one that sits or lives on top. Except a little mark there, but I have no marks to coincide with on the chain because the marks are, you know, in different places. There's the other mark sitting there. So we're now going to get this thing off and reinstate our new stuff. Bottom half of the timing chain fitted on. Just, I suppose, we don't want to show anything. Markings, there. And if you can see that little, it is a kind of a little bit hard to see in there in front, just in front of my finger there, right in the middle of the screen, there is a little indentation. I can understand that it's hard to see. Have we done that? Can you see it? I kind of see it, yeah. In there, actually, just right there, you can see that little arrow that is just around, if I could get my finger in there, just around there. Again, very hard to see, light won't do its job. Yeah, little triangle there, pointing at a discoloured link that's just above it. I'm going to start rolling up and changing gears and chains, etc. up the top. This point in time at the bottom bit is fitted in there with the old bits thrown down there. Little bit of sealer all the way around on our cover. I was kind of dubious because it's a very small mating surface there, so I actually put in another little bit of sealer down around the bottom just to be sure. Maybe it's overly cautious, but anyway, on is going that cover now, and then we'll change the gasket up there and reinstate or refit that cover. I think the new gasket is actually sitting over there on my cardboard box. Cover back on, timing cover. New oil seal fitted there. Old oil seal is just sitting here. My hand, I've tapped it in. New seal fit on that cover. New cover fitted in there, whatever that cover is for, little view and hole. And just for anyone that might think, or just for your own guidance, anytime you fit your timing chain, what I do anyway, I know it's maybe a weird one, but I actually fit my timing chain, I fit my timing chain, and I don't take off my tools. And I give a little fast stupid marks. So you can see my weird generic little marks, one there onto another little tensioner. And I just give my engine 2 rotations, or my crank 2 rotations, which is 1 rotation at the top, just to make sure everything rolls around, lines up at the same place, and everything is kind of happy days. Just for anyone that's doing it. Okay, right. Flywheel, and I think we're nearly back to being lobbed back in the car. I actually have to put on that cover up there. I have to, fit the new gasket also. But there's our seal and the 2 rotations done. Voila, all my bits and pieces back on. Anything that I can see reconnected. Kind of a strange setup of the DPF because it's held with a bracket up here and held with a bracket here, but the whole lot of it can float. So because of that, the only, I suppose, bit that I have to be weary of where the DPF can go in and out is that bracket here, and I can't put that bracket on until I get the gearbox on it. So I'm leaving it slightly loose up here, that little bolt, so I can move that in and out slightly. I'll lock the bolts once we have it up and back together and that bracket back on. Outside of that, that is, I believe, it. Crank pulley, I didn't put a belt on it. Lads will say, oh, you should have put a belt on it. I didn't even plan for it. I've kind of just slipped my mind, so it's going to roll on. It's in good nick, so I'm not going to go near it. Must order an oil filter, and I have a water pipe that I broke to come later on. But that is kind of it. We are back together and ready to be popped into that gap. On our way back in, just taking my time on my own. So little by little, down a bit, swiggle around a bit, down a bit, wiggle around a bit, down a bit, wiggle around a bit. But yeah, we're halfway into place anyway. Just like that, guys, she's landed back in place. Nice and free, and our loose just flopping around there because it's only sitting on the mountings at this point in time. Yeah, happy days. Time needed to squeeze up one or two bits and pieces. I might then head underneath and get our gearbox, our automatic transmission back on. That's a good starting point anyway, isn't it? We have at this stage just push up the transmission, automatic transmission. So I've put it up, ran in the rank of bolts around it. Haven't got the starter in yet because I'm actually putting in my torque converter bolts in here. As you can see, I've one in, I'm rotating around. I'm going to start all 4 of them, and once all 4 of them are in and started, then I'll squeeze, you know, one by one. So it does take a couple of rotations of the engine, unfortunately, but that is where we're at. Okay, guys, at this point in time, we are getting a couple of bits and pieces put back together. As we know, transmission, automatic transmission bolted in. I think actually, just that I'm looking at, no I don't. I was going to say, do I have a ground strap or an earth strap or something there? Have a ground strap over here to be connected. Have the DPF brackets, etc. tightened up. The apprentice guy snapped that little bolt on me, so I might need to take that out. Haven't taken out injectors. I don't believe I'm going to at this point in time anyway. I think I'm going to get the car up and running first, and once I have it up and running, without me being overly intrusive in the engine, at that stage, then I'll revert back. Right now, I'm just going to try and get her going. Sealer, as we know, have been put on the rear end, but I'm going to leave it dry overnight. 6 o'clock now, I have to be home. Wife needs me for something, but I'm going to leave it just sit. I might even leave it empty of oil until tomorrow morning, and then I make a run to water because I need that little coolant pipe that snapped on me any which way. Just to point out, have the fuel lines on, and in case anyone ever wonders, that is on the automatics. That is the release from the parking brake. So if you pull that, it does, you know, release it from park or being stuck in park if ever you want to tow one of these things. And it's not a huge amount more that I have to do. I have a couple of block connectors that I put back together down here, water pipes that we had taken off in there, and needlessly, because we disconnected them off down here, I had back on before I put back in the block. There is a big bracket to go on in there for my intercooler. But yeah, we're kind of rolling on, and I think I'm going to have to at this stage close it up for today. I think, yeah, we're after achieving a good bit. Yeah, at this point in time, case of leaving it and abandoning ship for a couple of hours, and we'll revert back in tomorrow morning to get this thing up and running. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bay. We are in theory done. So anything I can see that was off is back on. Airboxes, little bits of plastic cowling going into airboxes, water pipes. Cooling system has some water in it. I know there is 2 bleeders, one down here and one down there. The other one is buried in here. But I don't know. I didn't, as I said there, take out the injectors. I don't know if I'm going to have to bleed this thing. I don't actually know if I have a low pressure pump in the tank, fuel delivery pump, but I'm going to have a listen. Turn the key on a couple of times. I charged the battery overnight, and I have a man behind me now putting a booster pack on it, just in the off chance that the battery has not had to come up because it's sitting idle with 12 months or so. But yeah, we'll do a crank on it there in a second. I'm going to sit in, see can I hear a pump first, and then we'll start cranking without even bleeding it. Just see where we end up. Okay, guys, I'm inside in the car, and I'm actually just cycling the key on and off a couple of times. I can't hear a fuel delivery pump running, but Kuba tells me that he can hear something out there, so I'm thinking that maybe we might just try press of a button and see what happens. And you can't. Doesn't sound savage, to be honest with you guys. I also don't see any movement on that. And I do know down around the crank sensor it got a bit of a tip. Doesn't sound like I have a whole lot of compression there. Now, I know the thing is sitting over there with six months or so. The engine more probably left over here. We're starting to get something back. No, it doesn't sound savage at this point in time. Maybe I should go and bleed, but I don't hear compression. Missed. Come on. The young lad says to me, there's smoke coming out of the turbo. Smoke is going to be good because we have diesel getting into the engine. For me, I still don't have a start. Come on. She's trying and trying and trying. Maybe I just keep cranking off camera, will I? And her being automatic again, we can't do any kind of towing or anything on this. Come on. She is trying. Come on, baby. And try and press the throttle, and then not. Maybe I should clear first. Come on. That's her. Come on. Maybe you don't want to see this, crackers. Come on. Oh, we're going. And this is the first time I plugged in a scan tool, and the scan tool is flat because I was gone for 2 weeks holiday. So I'm just gonna go and clear, because a lot of this, I know that was in there from his original problem, engine overspeed, invalid data. So I'm gonna quick erase. Actually, you still have 5 faults in there. Don't know if that needs cycle of the key on or off, or is there actually something wrong in there. We'll have a look once we get rid of the rest of this crack. Glow plug, open circuit, okay, engine mount, open circuit. I didn't connect any of these things, so I don't know. I didn't connect any of these engine mounting, so I don't know where that is. And the glow plug, we probably should go and look at that. Just see for the crack. Maybe the glow plugs are burnt out. Car gone back up in the air for a couple of bits of under trags, etc. to be put back on. At this point in time, I think she's nearly ready for her maiden voyage, dare I say. Give it a couple of miles. Give it a little spin, 2 miles around the block, whatever, first. Once I'm happy, we'll bring it back, leave it sit down, leave it cool down, check for coolant, check for oil. I have to change oil and filter, but I'm going to do it all in a week. Maybe it's too noisy in there. I'm going to do it all, in a couple of days' time, once I'm happy that everything's right. It is refreshed oil, but the old oil filter is on it, so I'll probably renew the whole lot again in a couple of days' time, once I'm happy with it and running. But for now, I'm going to get it down, get it out on the road and see if it's driving okay at least. She's up and out on her maiden voyage, and about 30, 40 miles done, doing everything it should do, responsive. I don't want to drive it, redline it, but you can see that she's fairly, acting as it should do, getting low on diesel. Nice actual car, nice colour and etc. Tracking is off alright. You can see the steering wheel is a little bit to one side, but other than that, we're making headway. Okay guys, we are back down in the garage the next day. What has happened in the interim? Very, very little, but I'm just going to give you the overview and tell you where I'm at. So we have check engine light is coming on. We have tyre pressure or tyre monitoring light has come on because we have a low tyre. I'm not going to worry about them too much. We have it there on the left hand front. We also have a windscreen washer fluid low reservoir message, but I do know that I filled the actual reservoir before I pulled out yesterday. Also, I do know that I have a little baby scan tool above my house. When I saw the check engine light come on after I've been driving the car around last night, picking up a young lad and stuff, I plugged into the scan tool and we have those 4 glow plug faults back. I'm probably going to wind up this video now in order to get it curtailed in and onto the YouTube and gone off my phone. And I'm going to make probably, I wouldn't say a part 2, but a second part for the glow plug fault. I'm going to do a few tests. There's a block connector up at the very front of the engine where the intercooler is, and from that point I'm going to do my tests on my glow plugs, get them changed and or renewed. But the car is driving the finest. I may even do a video on that windscreen washer, because that's probably, sometimes the silly stuff performs very well on YouTube. This kind of a complicated job may not. I'd have my followers, or my avid followers, that would come, and watch week in, week out, but then it doesn't go well thereafter, if that makes sense. So I'm going to probably split into 2 more videos on hopefully the windscreen washer and our check engine light because of our 4 glow plugs. What is the frame of thought or the final thought on this one? I don't think these Ingenium engines are too bad. We'll argue the point and we'll say, hey, they are bad because we have one in there with an engine and a hole burnt in a piston. What causes the hole? Generally, Maybe I should do a little bit of stripping on it, and I might do that in a later video. But it's, I believe, over fueling. Okay, this is what it was on a few Ford Ranger videos, etc. that I done, and I think it's over fueling causes the top of the pistons to melt and or burn. The injectors in this one haven't been tested as of yet. I will do a test on them, and I will put something up on social media about them to see if they're good, bad, right, wrong. But right now I'm closing it up. I'm going to call the car a fix. It has got a little bit of a polish there yesterday by that young lad before it was driven home, and it is kind of getting ready for our open market. But that's kind of it on this car. It's a pity, I suppose, with only 100,000 miles on a car to have an engine in that kind of a state, but here we are. Hopefully some of you got some of it, from the timing chain replacement to the engine replacement. It's not that big of a or bad of a job when you're pulling them out like that, and the gearbox was that easy that I had to throw it out on the ground. That's it. Look guys, if you get anything from it, please like and subscribe. Peter Kennedy, Kennedy's Garage, and I'll see you on the next cartoon. Peter Kennedy signing out. See you later guys, thanks for watching.